So today's diorama is going to be my daddy's papaw, George Ferguson. The last diorama I did was of a papaw who made pottery. Now, George, the one we're going to work on today, he owned a store just right down the road next to my house. This is him. I never ever got to meet him, but this would have been my great grandfather. And so here's a picture of what he looked like. He's standing beside a bear. That's kind of freaky looking. Some of these pictures I'll be posting later next to the project as I work on it. Here he is with my papaw and his wife. There he is with my papaw. Of course, they had a farm that I grew up on, and then he had a store, and it's the store that we're going to build today. I think that's his brother-in-law, and that's his son. And then here he is with my daddy. That's George. He had some really cool. This is actually in my granny's house, and I love her lamps. She had some really cool mid-century furniture. Now here's a picture. We don't have any really good pictures of the store. We only have like a couple. And again, I'll post one of those later so you can see what the shutters look like on the outside of the windows. But here you can just sort of see like a pet ice cream sign hanging off the roof, the porch roof. And we actually still have that pet ice cream sign. And in this picture, it looks kind of small, but it's a huge circle sign made out of tin. And we actually have that hanging in our house now. And I think that's the only piece we have left from our old store. And then there's George with my daddy. But so today we're going to start working on a little diorama of his store. Now George's daddy had the store before he got it. So it was a pretty old store. It had been around for a while. And I believe sometime either in the late 50s or the early 60s is when they stopped working the store. And then my daddy, when he was a farmer, he used the store as a corn crib and would store corn inside the store. And years later, well, before they put the corn in it, some people came by and they stole a lot of the stuff out of the store because they never kept it locked. But people stole a lot of stuff out of it. And then, like I said, Daddy used it as a corn crib, and then it eventually, I think, just fell down. And then they cleaned it up. And then years and years and years later, my brother took a metal detector down around where the store was, and that's when he found that pet ice cream sign. And I'll post a picture of that. And this store was really strange because they're standing on the road, and you can sort of see the porch right here. So it was literally on the road. Like if you stepped off the porch, you were standing in the road. So it's just really weird how things were back in the old days. Because this road now is a really busy road, and there's no way you could put a store like 1 inch from the road. To get started, we're going to kind of check out this last one that I made. Now, this is, if you go back and look at that video, or if you didn't see it, it was just a piece of foam board and then a piece of foam board. So that's basically how I'm going to make this one. And I'm using Papal Decker here to be the model for this one because I don't have a doll ready for this character. So I'm just going to use this one that I've already got. And so I'm going to make this one just a little bit bigger because there's going to be more on this than there is over here on this one. So the store that they had, I'm going to try to back this camera up just a little bit. All right. Now the store that they had, he had windows, and so I've cut a window out, and the windows had shutters. So the piece that I cut out from here, I've just split it down the middle, and that's going to become the shutters to go on the sides of the window. And there was an F on the shutters. When we get to decorating the shutters, I'm going to put an F on there for Ferguson, and I'll show the picture of how that looked. But we're nowhere near ready for shutters, so we'll just lay those to the side. And just like the one over here, I've just got that back wall, the floor, which I'll glue together. I've actually made little marks here because that's where I wanted the two pieces to meet. All right, so I've got those parts glued together, and of course, like always, I've put my stick pins going through there. And just like over on this one, I want to make these little boards that are going up and down, only on this one, I'm going to put them side to side, like horizontal. So I have traced out some lines here, just as wide as what my ruler is, and I'm going to cut those out. And once you get those cut out, now I'm going to place them on my wall horizontal like this, and I want just a little bit of a gap. Now you can overlap this like siding, which is what I'll do on the outside, but on the inside I just want a little gap between them, kind of like I did over here. So anyway, I'm gonna get this all glued up here just with my tacky glue, and then work on the floorboards, which will be done the same way, but I don't want gaps between them, so I'll put them right side by side. All right, so I've got my glue down, and I'm just going to take a piece of foam board and just smooth it out, because again, you don't want it to be lumpy, and it don't have to be completely covered, because just as long as it's enough to hold these pieces of poster board on there, because it's all going to get Mod Podged later anyway before we do the painting. So I just got my glue down, and I'm going to start at the bottom. It's super easy, and I can cut that out around the window later too, once it's dry. Anyway, this is how I'm going to do it. Now, I don't have pictures of the inside of his store, but I'm sure there's a family member that probably does. I do have a picture of the outside of the store, and that's how I know he had shutters on the windows that had the letter F. But that's kind of the fun part. I get to design the inside the way I'd want it to look. So I've got that done, and again, I've put that poster board with a gap between them because I just thought it would look more like boards creating a wall. And down here on the bottom, I've put them a little bit closer, but there's still a little gap. They're kind of uneven up through there, but that looks fine because that's going to look more realistic. And then on the outside, you can see it looks more like siding. That is actually on the side of the house because I've got them overlapped on the outside part. So this already, I'm loving how it looks. And I guess the next step is to paint this. I'm going to do the wall inside and out white, and then the floor, of course, will just be a brown board floor. Now this one, the first one I did, the back of it's unfinished, and I guess I really should do something to that, because that's kind of like, if I ever display that somewhere, people could possibly see the back, and I should at least paint it brown or make it look like boards like the front of it. So I may do that, but I'm not going to do that right now. But this one, the reason I wanted to do the outside was because, like I've been mentioning, he had those shutters on the window that had the F on it, and that's the whole reason I wanted to do not only the inside but the outside. And there's also a sign that hung out from the front of the store that said pet milk or pet ice cream. I think it said ice cream, but we actually have that sign hanging in our house, and I want to make like a little replica of that and have it hanging out on the outside of the store. So that's why I did the back part of this one. The furniture, I've got it all cut out, and I've just got to remember what exactly I'm doing. These are the parts, again, that just came out of the window. I've wrote keep on there so I wouldn't throw them away thinking they were scraps, which I don't usually throw scraps away because you can always use little pieces of that. So anyways, that's the shutters for the outside. And I want like a what you call it, counter, like a countertop here. So I've got these little parts cut out that's going to make a countertop, just something like this, that will sit in the store, probably in front of the window. And let me see here. That will have a back on it so you won't see in there, but like on his side where he would be working from, there's going to be a shelf in here. So I'm just going to make this out of the foam board, just gluing these pieces together. And then I'm wanting some shelves to hang up on the wall. So again, just a piece of foam board. And for the, let me see, for the little brackets to go under the shelf board, I've took a little rectangle and just cut it like a diagonal cut from corner to corner. And then that gave me two little brackets to hang on the wall. And then my shelf will sit on that. So this is where I am. This is still like it was, ready to paint. I've got a little countertop built, and what's cool about that is it's going to go on this side of the room. So not only, see, I've got it to where there's a shelf, and I will fill that full of stuff. And the cool thing is you will be able to see through that window into that piece of furniture. So that's going to be kind of cool. I'm going to love that. That's just so awesome. Because I didn't even plan for that to happen. I just realized that when I had sat it up here. So that's going to be really cool. And here's those little shelves that I made that'll just glue to the wall. All right, so this is the next morning, and I got this little ripply look, or these little bubbles behind the poster board pieces, and I guess that's where I didn't have it glued down really good. And also when I painted this, I painted that with a mix of Mod Podge and paint, and that got it real wet, and that's probably the main reason it bubbled up like this. And I don't love it. Now see, you don't even really notice it as bad when you're looking straight on. In real life, it's not as noticeable as it is like right there in the video. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to have so much stuff on this wall that you're not going to really notice it. Here's how my little piece came out that I painted. I am going to, distress it a little, do some shading and highlights on that with some dry brush. And then the little shelves, they turned out pretty good. I think I will trim out the window, but I'm just going to cut like a piece of my poster board, just cut little strips and do like a little frame around the inside and the outside of the window. And for the windows, I've just got this clear plastic that some ornaments came out of. It's just a little box that I'm just going to cut a piece of this to use for the window. So that's what I'll do with that. All right, so this is looking really good. As you can see, I got that glass or that plastic in the window. I've got my shelves glued to the wall. I've got the trim around the window. I didn't get it very good. You can see it don't exactly match, but I'm okay with that. And then here's my little shelf. And I've been aging. I don't know if you can tell, but I've got a little black back here. That's just watered down black paint. And I take that and just smear it around. And if it's a little too much, then I just take a brush that's dry, and then I just kind of blot that to make it kind of blend in with the rest of the floor so it don't look like such a harsh line going across there. I just kind of feather it out and blot it. And it's also something that's very, once you get it on there, you're not going to be able to get it off. So you just want to be careful with it. You might want to practice on something if you've not done it before, because I would just say use the smallest amount of paint that you can until you get the hang of it. All right, so I did part of the video and I've got it to where I need to decorate the store. And, I've waited like almost a week since then, and now I'm jumping to this. We'll get back to the store in a second, but I'm just so mixed up with like what day it even is. Um, and my last couple videos, I didn't even post them on like a normal Friday or Saturday like I normally do. So I'm just totally messed up. I'm going to try to get back to posting on Friday and Saturday. But for this little diorama, I've got my little character here, and I ordered this off the internet, and I'll talk about that. But what I'm doing with it right now is he's got a bald head. He don't have hair, so that was like the perfect uh, form to try to make a hat. And what I've got going on here is some black felt that I've just stretched. I started out stretching it over my thumb, and I just pull it really good to try to get a little hump in it, which you can sort of see that shaping out right there. And then I've put that over the head, and I've got it tight with a rubber band to help hold it in the shape and the space or the place that I want it. And then I've took some of my Mod Podge and I've just painted over that with Mod Podge. So when I take the rubber band off, it will be, stay in that shape. So it feels like it's dry to the touch. And I'm going to take that rubber band off. And that's got like the perfect little shape to it. And it's kind of hard, so it'll keep the shape. And I'm just going to cut around it. All right, so there's how that looks. And I'm going to have to make a brim. Now, I can work with that. And I'm going to clean it up a little bit better. But I'm just trying to quickly get it cut out. But that'll make a pretty good hat. And it'll look way better with a brim. That's kind of funny. And there's something I've got to explain about this head in a minute. But that looks pretty good. Now, you can even, pinch it in, give it a little more of a shape, of whatever shape you want it to have, sort of. I mean, I'm just experimenting with this, so I think it's going to turn out pretty good. All right, so I've got that little top part of the hat glued to the brim, and I'm going to, of course, cut that out in a circle or an oval shape or whatever shape later after the glue dries. But I've kind of pinched it. I don't know if you can tell, but I've tried to pinch it and give it a little bit more of a hat shape. But it's going to look really awesome. I can already tell. I'm really happy with how that's turning out. Now, as far as George, this is a character. I ordered this off of this website, which I'll hold that there so you can see that. I guess that's showing up there. Plaidstallions.com. Sort of see it better there. But it's plaidstallions.com. Now, there's another website called Plaid Stallion, which is a clothing website. So you got to make sure you put that S at the end of Stallion. But anyway, that's where I've ordered this doll from. Now, some collectors are going to beat me for saying it's a doll. You know, other people call it an action figure. But to me, this is a doll. If it's got removable clothes, it's a doll. But anyway, um, I don't know what character it was. You know, you can pick from different parts, like the body I bought separate, the jacket I bought separate, the shirt was separate, the pants, and even the head. Now, the head, I don't know what they were calling the character, but one thing I did not even notice was it was gold, and the picture on the internet did not look gold like it does here. You can clearly tell from his body to the head. He's definitely got a gold head. And again, I did not know that when I bought it, so I'm going to have to paint this, and I'm kind of bummed about that, but, you know, it is what it is. They didn't really make it clear that it was gold, but, you know, it's a good thing I can paint, because I guess I'll just be stuck painting it. But anyway, other than that, I'm pretty happy with what it is. I mean, the body's pretty cool. The clothes are cool, because I didn't want to have to make an outfit for this. But you can just check out that website. They've got different heads to pick from, different clothing, different body types. So I really like this, and the only thing I've got to do is paint the head and make his little hat. And then I have made some little glasses, and these were just made out of a piece of wire, and I just wrapped it around this little tiny screwdriver. I just matched up a screwdriver to about the size of what I wanted the glasses to be, and just wrapped it around there, and just, you know, bent it around to make a glass, the shape of glasses. And of course I used him as my model so that it would fit right. And I'm so bummed I have to paint that head. I just hate the idea of having to paint it. I wished it would just be flesh color. But the glasses look pretty good. And I just shaped them around his ears. And those turned out pretty good. And one thing is, sometimes you want to make sure that when you're wrapping this wire around the screwdriver, that you can pull it back off, because sometimes the head of the screwdriver will be wider, and if you're up here wrapping that wire around there, you're not going to be able to slide it off, because the head of it will be bigger, and you know, you can't get it off. So just make sure your screwdriver is the same size all the way down. But those turned out really cute. And then let me see what else I want to show. Oh yeah, now when it came to gluing down the little posters and signs and stuff in the store, I used a glue stick, because this won't make the paper wrinkle. You know, sometimes if you use like a more wet glue, like tacky glue or just regular Elmer's glue, it will make your paper wavy. So if you're ever gluing down pictures and things, you want to use a little glue stick, because that glue is good for not making it wavy. All right, so there you can totally see the difference in that head color to the body. And I'm going to just paint this with acrylic paint. Now, I have no idea. I kind of know how this is going to work, but I kind of don't. I have painted a doll head before, but I don't know that this is like the best choice of paint. But I've got this acrylic paint, and I've mixed this little peach color with just like a drop of khaki to try to make it match the body a little bit. And it may not look like it on the screen, but in real life, I think it's going to match pretty good. It just totally don't look like the body color, but I think it will be okay. I'm going to Oh my gosh. See, it goes on kind of thick. I might need a little bit of water, but I'm just going to do it. And see, I don't want it to look like brush strokes, so I'm just going to. This is going to look so crude. I didn't even take the original eye color off, but I'm just going to hope this works. Now, I know a lot of people that paint doll heads will like start with Mr. Super Clear and like do stuff to it. But I'm just free balling it here. I'm just going with it. I'm just doing what I think will be good enough for this. Well, at least you don't have a gold head. I don't mind a little texture. It looks kind of realistic. But you don't want to keep going over it and over it and over it because it'll eventually lift off the paint. Like if you keep going over it too many times. I don't think it looks that bad. I think for what it is, that totally don't match that body. But I think for what it is, it's going to look okay. I'm going to let that dry and maybe do some shading somehow. It's just better than the gold, I'll say that. Oh my gosh, the texture is getting kind of like Freddy Krueger. Oh my gosh. Okay. I just gotta. I think it's gonna. I'm not sure what it's gonna do. Okay, so I took the hair dryer and dried that a little bit, and honestly, it looks pretty good. Now, I'm not even going to worry about the color being perfect. I'm going to go over this with a little bit of those little colored chalks here in a little bit. But the texture actually looks really good. It just looks more realistic. It's drying more flat. It's not glossy like it was when it was wet. I was really kind of stressing, and I'm still kind of stressing because I feel like in time this could scratch or whatever. I may try to go over it once I'm done with some sort of a clear coat, but I'm just going to let him. That is totally not a match, but I'm going to let him sit here for a minute uh, while we look at the little outfit. Um, Here's the little pants. They look like little pants with suspenders, so they stay on really good. The clothing and everything from that website is really quality, really good stuff. Here's his little shirt. Everything's got Velcro, and it's got this little strap to go between the legs to keep the shirt from pulling up out of the pants. The sleeves were just a little bit too tight. They went on him good, but they were just a little tight. They could have been just a little bit bigger, but it's pretty good overall. And the jacket is really, really good. I like that. Everything's pretty good. I totally recommend that website, um, at least for America. I'm sure they ship out of the country. I don't know all that kind of detail, but I'm happy with the pieces I got. And here's how it looks. Now, I love how it's turned out. Um, I'm going to quickly just go over some stuff. Now, I'll post a picture here showing what the store looked like from the outside, and you'll see that the shutters, I've tried to make those just like in the picture. There's this pet ice cream sign that hangs off the porch. So I've tried to recreate that. And then these little signs here are actually cut off of a cereal box. And this is, of course, cut off of a box of baking powder. Um, and if you can sort of tell, I've got those stick pins, those little sewing pins stuck in there to look like little nails, just to make it look a little more realistic. This piece hanging up here is just a coat hanger bent with some little wires. I just printed off a sign that looks like the one that we actually had on the store. And the little bitty wire, um, that's actually some picture wire hanger, like some picture wire. And it comes in like a thicker piece, but you can unravel that and just get a smaller wire. So I thought that size would be better for the scale. And of course, that's a coat hanger. And for these little hooks on the corner to attach it to the wall, I just took some of my silver duct tape and I stuck it on this poster board. And then I just cut out those little brackets, those little, thingamabobs there that hold this post on there, this little pole. And I've just put some of those little stick pins in that to hold that on. And so that's how the outside looks. And I love how that does. Like if I ever want to store this, pack it up, I can just, fold it over to be easier to pack. So this is the outside of the store. And I love, there's even a little pet milk can right in the window. So that kind of mimics or picks up on the, the merchandise they actually sell. And then I love how you can see through the window. You can see some little bottles and stuff in the window on the counter. You can sort of see on the floor in there. And then when I flip it, here's the inside. I'm just crazy about all the little details. Now, there's a lot of little Easter eggs in here. You can sort of see down the aisle. There's some milk cans, some peppers in a basket, the little croquet set, the stuff sitting in the window, and the little calendar that I made. I just cut that out of a piece of paper and drew some squares on it. And the picture on there is actually just a stamp, just like a postage stamp. So that made a perfect little calendar picture. And this actually says Ferguson Conklin Road, which is where the road that the store was on. And that's actually just cut off a piece of our mail. And then there's some little, here's a little telephone that actually you can pick it up. Of course, it's got his name up here on a sign. This is another one of those boxes. I just cut that off of a box. And just all kinds of little stuff. Now here, it's real tiny, but I will try to post a picture up here. That's actually a little tiny picture of my niece. And of course, I've got all these little cans. There's a Hershey's Cocoa. Now, my last diorama, this is a chocolate. This is a chocolate sign. This was cut off of a chocolate box. And then there's a little chocolate thing back here. I don't know if it really shows good, but that little yellow box is a chocolate thing. I put a lot of little chocolate stuff in here. Oh yeah, and inside that's supposed to be like a little cooler. But I've got little tiny butter that I made. I've got some chocolate ice cream on the top shelf. And I put a lot of chocolate in there because me and my daddy loves chocolate. So that's just another little personal touch that I've tried to put in here. There's a little piece of mail or like a little receipt thing here that says Jackie Ferguson. That's my daddy. And then this little picture here and this one, I actually cut those out of a magazine from the 50s. So, and I love that this one says miniature. This is actually from like a boy's activity book, like where you could order model cars and stuff. So there's a lot of little miniature things in it. And I don't actually have pictures of the inside of our store, but I wished I did. The only picture I've got is the one that I had posted there before. But I'm just, all I can do is just kind of guess at what it looks like. Now, my daddy did go in the store, of course. And of course, I've got a lot of family that went in the store, so they can probably tell me a lot about it. But most of this, I was actually going to use this in Dorothy's house, everything you see here. But I thought Dorothy does not need this much stuff in her kitchen because, she's a poor little farm girl. I am pretty sure she's not going to have that well of a stocked kitchen. So I thought what other project can I come up with to use some of these props. So that turned out perfect for this. And then right here on the counter is a little Sears Roebuck book. It actually opens up. Of course, I had to put a basket in there. You know, all stores probably have a basket, and I'm a basket collector, so I stuck that in there. This little Tide thing, I just cut that out of a local grocery ad. So I was trying to think of stuff. Like, I had this done, and I didn't have any of these things on here like that. And I was trying to think, you know, I thought I could print stuff off, but I don't have a printer, and I didn't want to have to take time to go, you know, to like the library or anything. So I thought, well, so it just came to me to, you know, look through magazines and go through our kitchen and start cutting up our boxes. But I guess that's pretty much it. I'm really excited with how this has turned out. And I was trying to think if there was anything that I wanted to say about it. I guess you pretty much can just see it. If you have any questions about it, and like I was saying before, always when you're gluing stuff like this down, this is paper, so I glued that down with like a little glue stick because I don't want it to wave. And just like we seen earlier, where the sides had got kind of wavy from the wet glue, as it dried, it kind of flattened back out. And some of the places that didn't flatten out, you just can't really tell it with that much stuff on the walls. So it turned out pretty good. But just always be careful gluing stuff down. And oh my gosh, I've about forgot like a major piece. I'm just sitting here looking at the store and thinking of the store. And of course, we need our store owner. So here is how he has turned out. Now, I'll post a few pictures here in the corner. And it I don't know. I mean, I didn't know the person myself, my papa. So I never actually was around him or met him. I hope you don't look too crazy as a doll. I think the lighting, I think he looks pretty good. I mean, I think he looks better in real life than he looks in the picture. And I'm looking in this camera, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it looks like Hitler. But, you know, and it was bugging me that it was not looking right. So then I thought, well, he still does need the glasses. So I stuck his little glasses on. And after I'd done that, I thought, okay, that completely changes his look. Thank goodness. And not only that, but his little hat, which, where did his little hat go? All right, so here's his little hat. Now that helps the look also. That just kind of makes him look more, you know, like he should. And I like how it's turned out. I think it looks really good, especially with his little hat and his glasses. And then I'm just going to stick him back here behind his little counter. Now, if I had made this store a little bit bigger, I could have done like a cash register sitting there. But we can just imagine that the counter goes further down and there is a cash register down there. But I think it looks really cute. And I guess that's all I've got to do to it. So I'm going to take a few pictures of this so we can check it out a little bit better. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And next week we will probably work more on Dorothy's house. Okay, so there's one more thing that I want to mention. Now, this is the diorama that I fixed the first time of my daddy's mama's family. And then this one is daddy's family. So they're both on my daddy's side. But another little Easter egg that I forgot to mention was this is a German chocolate, or just a German food brand. And this person was German, so that's just kind of a little tie-in between the two. This was some little chocolate candies that we got at Christmas, so I just thought the sign in German was kind of cool.